So I'm here to present a noob's guide to decoding video bitstreams, and I represent the Center for Recently Bent Spoons, or CRBS. I'm Henry, Frogdoor on Discord. I did live infra and delivery at CBS Sports, and I spent the past 4 years on the player team at Vimeo, until 4 days ago. And big tinkerer, maker. I did a Demux talk this year that is all about my tinkering and makering. I promise that has nothing to do with my professional career. Yeah, so this started, I've spent 6.5 years doing delivery and video playback, and I've been looking to get more into the encoding, transmuxing, kind of more the media layer. So this year's summer camp, I saw this little guy in the mock dev repo, and I saw good first issue in Rust and Codex, and I was like, hell yeah, let's see what I have to figure out. Let's learn more. So the context is basically we are trying to integrate with real-world ingest tools, OBS, GStreamer, FFmpeg. We want to meet people where they are on the production side. So you're already using OBS, you have your scenes, transitions, and all that. How about if you can publish right to a mock relay? So you add your mock plugin, you specify your endpoint, and you just hit start streaming, and that's it, just like you always do. And under the hood, mock plugin wraps libmock, which is a C binding, so that we can use in OBS. You can create tracks, publish to a broadcast with the hand crate. So I use OBS pretty much every day at work for live stream playback. But if you'd asked me a few months ago, like what am I actually sending in that OBS stream? Like what's going over RTMP? How's it getting into my HLS playlist? I would have gone full Zoolander. I'm like, it's video data, it's a bit stream, and there's metadata in the video? ? I'm making myself look a little bit dumber than I am, but there's more to life than being ridiculously good at metaphors. So when I pick up a ticket that I have no right in working on, I like to ask myself a question. What do we have and what do we need? So I know we have this nebulous OBS encoder packets that are coming out of OBS. And what do we want is we want a catalog, a mock catalog track. And this is, you can kind of think of it like a HLS playlist or a Dash manifest. But how do we get there from these packets? So I cracked open a textbook that the Vimeo video team read about 1.5 years ago, I think. It's Ian Richardson's The H.264 Advanced Video Compression Standard, 2nd edition. And we read through this whole thing, and it's honestly super dense, and I kind of got it. A lot of words I'd seen before, and things kind of clicked, but without any real-world implementation, nothing really sunk in. So I cracked this open, and the video bitstream is presented as a network abstraction layer. And this basically decouples the control and metadata from the actual video data. It's great for sending streams over unreliable networks, or it's agnostic if you're sending MPEG-TS, RTMP, MoQ, whatever. And in the network abstraction layer, there are 2 types of units. There are non-VCL, or non-video coded layers, and that's going to be your metadata and things like that, and your video coded layer. So for our purposes of decoding this bit stream and making mock tracks, the non-VCL are actually much more interesting because that's where all the metadata is. These are the files inside the computer. Well, I'll go back a bit. So the SPS and PPS, these are going to have common coding parameters. SPS will have common parameters for a whole sequence of frames, and then PPS will have parameters for 1 or more of frames. And the VCL units that's your video data. So they're going to have things like am I an I frame, B frame, P frame. You're going to have quantization parameters, your motion vectors, and so much more that I won't even pretend to understand. when I was doing the H.265 decoder, I referred to these in my head as the n00bs units, or not my problem, because that's the decoder. It'll deal with that. So what do we need? We need to advertise these in the MoQ catalog, and we want to include some metadata for priming the decoder and some stream info, so you can have, like, if you have ABR, you can show what your bit rate is, or things like that. So we now understand what we have, and we need to somehow turn this bit stream into, like, figure out what is inside here. What is the data that we have? So what I'll describe is it's NXB, which is, I don't know, like, it describes a format of a bit stream for H.264 or 5. And basically, there's a start code prefix before each null unit, which is either 3 bytes or 4, 001 or 0001. Ask Luke about this. He loves talking about it. The first time I learned about this was in the midship of a boat in London surrounded by cannons. He was going on about it. So it's, yeah, interesting. So the SPS this is the most important one probably for our purposes. This is what we need to create a new catalog track. It has all the metadata for that. And the others, PPS, SEI, AUD, you can just buffer them, move on. And then your VCL units, all we really need to know is it an iframe? If so, set a flag. If not, buffer it and write it to the track. All right, close the textbook, and now we have to open up an 800-page PDF to figure out what is actually in this, like, what are the bits? And so each null unit has a header, and there's 2 important pieces of information there. There's the forbidden 0 bit, which is just, I mean, it's the most dramatic part of the spec. When you're a couple hundred pages in, you're looking for anything at that point. So, and then the last 5 bits are like null unit type. It's like, what am I describing here? And you look that up in the table, and then that'll give you a breakdown of, is it video coding or non-video coding? Yeah, and there's a bunch more. It's just a snippet. So now you need to process them. So this kind of just breaks down. We're not going to really go through the code, but it's you got your metadata nulls and your video nulls. And the first one you're going to get is an SPS. And that's enough that we can create a track and advertise it on our MoQ catalog. You're basically just going to bit pack these constraint flags, and then here's the actual data there. Is like, what's your width? What's your height? Your profile to prep the decoder. So it was finally kind of making sense what was in this data that I've used for years and years. It was a lot of fun to kind of see it, kind of crack it open and see what was going on. And then down here, this is where we actually add the track to the catalog. And bada bing, bada boom, now you know which video options you have, and you can subscribe to. So now we're going to look at the VCL, the video coded layer. And really all we have to do here is if it contains an iframe, we set that to true. And that's important because when we flush these and publish them to the stream, web codecs need to start with an iframe. So I guess you just drop, like if you get non-iframe containing slices first, you just drop those and wait until you get an iframe. And what we do here is, this is where we're actually just writing it to the track. So we're gonna transmux it and just add a timestamp. We get these in decode order, and web codecs needs them in decode order. So we put a timestamp because with quick things, they might arrive out of order. So you can reorder them with like a little network jitter buffer. And then your web codecs knows that it can start with a keyframe contains IDR. And here's the real magic, track.write. So that's where we publish these frames. Now I'm going to show you something that Cloudflare does not want you to know. Really, they say they have these magical CDNs, but we all know it is Mike English delivering these frames one by one. So he sends those over the wire, and at the beginning of each next frame, Mike starts that delivery process and sends them out one by one. So after all of this, I've accomplished 0 on my ticket. So I reached out to Luke and I was like, all right, can we get, does this sound like something I should do? I'll figure out ABC3 import, which we just did. And yeah, H.265 is apparently very similar to H.264, but the nulls are different. And it took me 3 days to figure out how the AVC import worked, and about 3 hours to adapt it to make it work for H.265. Because really, it is very similar for this purpose. In all we had to do is kind of modify a little bit in the non-VCL metadata. The header is actually 2 bits instead of 1, but we can pretty much ignore the second bit, or byte, excuse me. And then there's a bunch more VCL now units, but really it's the same kind of rinse and repeat. Does it have a keyframe, or does it not? And yeah, that's about it. So that was the process of going from knowing nothing about your bitstream to writing a little transmuxer decoder. So.